Welcome to Hope from History, where the ancestors teach yes you can, because yes we did. Addie Banks presents early Black entrepreneurs who have a history and business story to share. Hero and Shero horses have long been part of history as early as ancient Greece and Rome horse races. In the 19th century, winning horses gained fame, among them Old Henry Clay, Dan Patch, Man o' War, Little Sorrel, Comanche, and Lexington. But the most famous horse of that era never touched the racetrack. This is the story of Dr. William Bill Key and his horse named Jim. Bill was born a slave on the plantation of Captain John Key in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, year 1833. His was far from the usual slave story. When he was 5 years old, the captain died, and Bill was willed to the captain's cousin, John W. Key, in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Bill became more family member than slave. He had an affinity to calm those around him, almost in a supernatural manner that manifests early. At 6 years old, they noted that animals responded to Bill's inner tranquility. Mr. Key's father was disabled, and young Bill had a way of calming him as well. However, this ability was most on display when Bill was with horses. It is written that Bill really shined and demonstrated a remarkable talent for working with horses and mules. He was so effective that, as a boy, he was sent to the pasture alone to train them. Perhaps the most significant opportunity Bill received was time giving special attention to the elderly Key, who somewhat adopted him. In appreciation, Senior Key taught Bill to read, write, mathematics, and science. This was illegal in the South at that time. He read veterinary texts to him, and they experimented with animal remedies. This was the foundation for Bill to become a successful, self-taught veterinarian and horse dentist. He was also known as Dr. Key, practicing dentistry and healing for slaves. What else was he taught? Martha, John's wife, was so appreciative of Bill taking care of Senior Key that she taught him gentleman skills like presentation, elocution, and etiquette that was very useful in his life. Civil War and the Key family had to support the war effort. The master's two sons marched to Fort Donelson, and Bill accompanied them. Always innovative, Bill constructed a log-covered dugout shelter that he called Fort Bill. The sons found refuge there when they could, and protection from Union bombardments. When Fort Donelson surrendered, Key helped get his young masters to safety under Nathan Bedford Forrest's command. Bill was captured after the Battle of Stones River by the 6th Indiana Regiment, trying to smuggle another black man through Union lines, and was sentenced to hang. Crafty Bill Key avoided execution when they learned that he was a good cook and poker player. Playing poker with Union officers, Key purchased his release in exchange for their gambling debts. He was captured again during the war and again sentenced to hang, but purchased a delay of execution with $1,000 he had sewn between the soles of his shoe. Confederate raiders liberated him the next day. Returning home after the war was so disappointing. He found the estate in ruins from Union destruction, confiscation of anything of value, and no means to set things right. The family took a mortgage on the plantation that they could not repay. Key to the rescue. Enter Keyliniment. Key developed a formula that worked on humans and animals and marketed it in Key fashion. Between gambling winnings and Keyliniment sales, Key was able to pay off the mortgage on the house and helped underwrite John W. Key's two sons' Harvard education. When asked why he did this, Key said, "I was one of those fortunate men who had a kind master." Dr. Key was in business after the war, opening a successful veterinary practice and horse hospital in downtown Shelbyville. He was also the owner of a racetrack, restaurant, hotel, wagon shop, and pharmaceutical business. Keyliniment was very profitable, so he took the show on the road throughout the South. His traveling minstrel and medicine show featured entertainment with animals that he had trained to perform skits and demonstrated supposed cures from liniment use. He was so prosperous that by midlife, he focused his time and resources on horse racing with the goal to breed the world's fastest racehorse. At a track in Tupelo, Mississippi, he came across a badly abused Arabian bay and bought her. She had been with a circus now defunct and was in poor health. Her name was Loretta. He was determined to nurse her to good health. He set his heart on creating a prize horse. He bred her with Tennessee Volunteer, a standard breed stallion, and they produced a coat. Another disappointment. The coat was so sickly that Key considered destroying it. But it was not in his heart to kill a young down-and-out creature that was soon orphaned when Loretta died. He nursed the wobbly-legged young'un and named him Jim, after the town drunk 'cause they walked alike. The coat was unable to stand for weeks after birth, but Jim was a baby with no mama or papa. He refused to be separated from Bill and made such a ruckus in the barn that they had to bring him into the house. Jim thought he was their child. His first year, he lived like the humans. He understood language. Bill's wife, Lucinda, a very tolerant wife, was the first to notice that Jim understood yes and no. She was eating an apple and asked, "Jim, do you want a piece of apple?" He nodded his head up and down in response. Once in good health, Jim was the ugly duckling turned beautiful mahogany bay. Jim began picking up tricks he learned while watching Bill's dog Monk fetch sticks, sit, and roll over. When Jim outgrew the house, they tried to place him back in the barn. Jim was not having separation from Bill, therefore, Bill had to set up a cot in the stable to sleep with Jim. The two were inseparable companions and partners from then on. Dr. Key realized that he had a prodigy horse on his hands. While he had trained animals to perform for his minstrel show, he took on a whole new agenda with Jim. And he was in his late 50s, but they trained for 7 years. Here we find Key's amazing contribution to animal respectability that taught the entire world humane practices in caring for animals. Key bathed Jim in love. His training routine was reinforced by rewards, praise, patience, and kindness. He was never harsh of hand or word. No punishment was part of his training. He found other means of corrective practices, and this worked very well. Before Key was satisfied and ready to exhibit beautiful Jim, he made sure the horse was ready to give a never-before-seen performance. Beautiful Jim earned the title Most Wonderful Horse in the World and the Smartest. Key taught Jim to read, write on a blackboard, spell, do math, distinguish among coins and make change, identify playing cards, play a hand organ, tell time, sort mail, cite biblical passages, and respond to political inquiries, among other amazing feats. Start with a bang. Beautiful Jim's first exhibition was at the 1897 Tennessee Centennial Exposition in Nashville. Dr. Key was asked to serve on the Negro Committee. That way, he had a front row seat in engineering the best terms for Jim's introduction. President William McKinley was due to attend. The Keys dazzled them. Welcome to the beautiful Jim Key Show. Here is the program that Dr. Key read because the audience was requested to ask questions and told to please speak distinctly to the horse and he will respond promptly. A hint, he enjoys applause. First, Jim rings the bell to open school. Jim picks out any letter, playing card, or number asked for. Jim shows his proficiency in figuring, adding, multiplying, dividing, and subtracting in any numbers below 30. He spells any ordinary name asked him. He reads and writes. He goes to the post office, gets the mail from any box requested, and files the letter in a regular letter file under any name asked him. Jim distinguishes various pieces of money and goes to a cash register and rings it up in any amount asked for, bringing the correct change. Distinguishes colors and flags and tells the time. Gives quotations from the Bible where the horse is mentioned, giving chapter and verse. Uses the telephone. Jim takes a silver dollar from the bottom of a glass jar filled with water without drinking a drop. Finally, somebody offers to buy Jim. He ends the show to go home. This brings laughs from the audience. Now, that's amazing. President McKinley did attend and was amazed. He said that beautiful Jim Key was certainly the most astonishing and entertaining exhibition I have ever witnessed. He went on to say that it is indeed a grand object lesson of what kindness and patience will accomplish. He gave high praise to the horse and the methods Dr. Key used. Key took every opportunity to expound upon teaching without using a whip. Also at this exhibit was Robert R. Rogers, a promoter who had log rides and a giant seesaw attraction there. He went to see Jim's performance after reading what President McKinley wrote and immediately wanted to buy Jim. He impressed upon business savvy Dr. Key that he could give Jim opportunities and tours that unfortunately he would never be able to, being a black man. Key let Rogers know that Jim would never be sold for any price, but they did negotiate another arrangement. Rogers was awarded the right to exhibit Jim nationally. He advanced Key a large sum of money and promised that Jim would not be separated from Key as long as either lived. To the public, Rogers would present as promoter and owner of Jim. Next steps. Key, Jim, Monk, the faithful guard dog who rode on Jim's back, along with grooms Sam and Stanley Davis, the Shelbyville crew, traveled to Rogers' estate named Glenmere in New Jersey, where they trained for several months. Beautiful Jim was on schedule to debut at Madison Square Garden in New York City. In August 1897, Beautiful Jim wowed New York audiences, and the press made Jim an instant celebrity. Tours began, including 2 World's Fairs. Welcome to the St. Louis World's Fair, where the opening performance will be Beautiful Jim Key, the Wonder Horse. In fact, Beautiful Jim and Dr. Key had their own pavilion. Dr. Key performed in front of then President Teddy Roosevelt's daughter, Alice. Jim Key spelled Alice's name, Alice Roosevelt Longworth, adding the surname of her escort. The beautiful Jim Key exhibit building was called the Golden Horseshoe and cost $12,000. Admission price was 15 cents for adults and 10 cents for children. The exhibit made a profit of $51,654.28, the equivalent of nearly $1.5 million in 2020. Exceptional as all of Jim's acts were, one most unusual skill he had was plunging his head into a container of water and retrieving a silver dollar without drinking any of the water. Much in demand, Beautiful Jim toured many cities east of the Rocky Mountains and performed at large venues from Atlantic City to Chicago. Jim was acclaimed a star wherever he went, and the celebrity with entourage traveled with star treatment. Back home, he lived in a luxurious stable, and on the road, Jim and company traveled in a private train car. He drank purified water and ate a special blend of hay. Among his group was a valet, tutors, grooms, and a veterinarian. Rogers assembled a scrapbook that survives to share other highlights of the Keys story. Besides Beautiful Jim's stationery for correspondence, he kept letters, news articles, promotional materials, and pictures. Because Jim was trained to perform regardless of the person requesting answers, Rogers developed a two-act play called The Scholar and the Model Office Boy that they performed at theaters throughout the East. As a promoter, Beautiful Jim items were widely sold: blankets, souvenir buttons, promotional pamphlets, postcards, photos, and beautiful Jim Key pennies. Gentlemen wore Jim Key gold pinbacks in their collars. Giorgia Benedetti composed the music for the Beautiful Jim Key two-step dance. Beautiful Jim Key essay contests were held. Rogers wrote a book titled The Story of Beautiful Jim Key. Dr. William Key initiated more than an outstanding arena for horse sense, but a better way to treat animals humanely. Rogers was a member of several animal humane societies. In addition to making money with Beautiful Jim, he saw his ticket to respectability among these circles, soliciting sponsorships for Jim's shows. Working with Dr. Key, a campaign was developed to pair the show with teaching children kindness to animals. It was a great success, with millions joining the Jim Key Band of Mercy, a club that facilitated social circle discussions about humane treatment. More than 2 million children signed the Jim Key Pledge, promising, "I will try to be kind to all harmless living creatures and try to protect them from cruel usage." They also received Jim Key Band of Mercy membership cards, and local humane societies received sizable shares of admission sales. Marvel of the 20th century, the greatest crowd drawer in America. For 9 years, the show was on the road and seen by an estimated 10 million people. Jim became the #1 box office star in the nation. The worldwide animal welfare movement was boosted, with "Be Kind to Animals" becoming a household statement. The record-breaking 1906 season ended their shows as Jim began suffering from rheumatism. The plan was to resume after a year's rest, but that was not to be. Dr. Key died in 1909 at the age of 76. This was quite a blow to Jim, who died in 1912 at age 23. What a full life Dr. William Key lived. If his only real disappointment was, despite having 4 wives, fathering no children, he got that child in the form of a brilliant Arabian Hambletonian extraordinaire named Jim. I'd like to think that during their final years together, they played on the grounds of their paradise.